Hello Enchanted ones, and welcome back. Today, join me as I prepare for autumn with simple DIYs and a magical makeover of my home and altar. I hope you enjoy. So sit back, relax, and keep on watching. Something is beginning to shift within the woods, and I can feel it. The crisp air, the darker evenings, and a shifting colour palette slowly making its way in. It can only mean one thing. Autumn is here. Hello Enchanted One, and welcome. You have joined me today by the Secret You, this very special enclosed space that I have found. And I'm very excited to say that today is the first day I'm actually wearing my jumper outside, off one shoulder though, because it's still not that cold. But it has been such a beautiful time in the woods these past couple of weeks. Mushrooms and toadstools have popped up absolutely everywhere, and it's just been so amazing to come out every day and see them, and then look in the same place and then realise I didn't see a whole other bunch of them. And the floor is filling up with the debris from the oak trees, the acorns, beautiful yellow leaves, and it fills my heart up so much. This year especially, because we've had such a hot summer, it's just so nice to have this cooler transition now, and I just feel more inspired this year because of this transition. It's just more exciting, I find. So naturally the first thing is make over my home, which I have been doing over the past week, and I'm not gonna lie guys, I was so excited to do it this year because I had such a strong idea and loads of different ideas of what I wanted to do. I feel like I've changed so much over the last year. I found more elements of my style. So the first thing I wanted to do this year is decorate my kitchen, and the vibes I was going for the kitchen was practical magic, going into the conservatory, kind of white but overcrowded with plants, and then have some like metallic-y items, some kind of rustic antique-y items also. So there was a large brief involved, but I was very keen to fill that brief because the kitchen is kind of boring me at the moment. I've never actually done anything to the kitchen, so that was the job I was working with. So I got to work, and I couldn't wait to begin this long-awaited makeover. First thing I did was give everything a good clean and take down anything that didn't speak to me anymore, and I wanted to welcome a new energy in here. So naturally I decided to paint. This window is a focal point in the kitchen, and I think this green will go great with the metallic and rust accessories I have for it. Also, what speaks to me right now is fairy lights. I wanted to create an ambiance space in this kitchen, so I'll look forward to the washing up and the little mundane rituals that I put off on a daily basis. This makeover is inspired by the conservatory, so I had to add ivy everywhere. This is fake ivy, so I put it in places that were a little more difficult to put real plants, but of course I included real ivy from my garden. Ivy is a dream to bring inside. It brings an energy of protection, grows easily in water, and when you are done with it, you can simply repot it back into the ground if you wish. Making this kitchen more of a rustic tone was also very important to me this autumn. Not having too many colours, but having earthy tones that were pleasing to the eye.
But I wasn't done there. The kitchen needed a little bit more clutter, so I took the floor-to-ceiling plant stand out of the lounge and thought this would be a great place for more autumn clutter pieces. If I was stuck for decor, I simply filled and placed within pots the seeds of autumn, such as pine cones, acorns and dried flowers, such beautiful decorations all gifted by nature. But also I brought out my antique ware. I love this all year round, but there's something about antiques in autumn that adds to the rustic ambiance. I have been meaning to make a dried herb wall for such a long time using mossy sticks and string. I hung these up and it was such a simple way to make a white wall look more interesting without having to hang a huge picture. Plus, it was completely free.
Perfect!
But before I went on, I just couldn't continue without a glorious autumn snack.
Yummy!
Back to work, and I worked on the windowsill, adding antiques, rustic tones, coppers and dried flowers. But my attention was brought to the loose string dangling from the top, and I had just the idea for this. Fir cones, great for protection and success, and it is said if you hang pine cones over your bed, it helps with sickness over the winter months. I added moss to the top of these to cover the glue, and it's safe to say this was the simplest yet rewarding craft I've ever done. A couple of finishing touches here and there, and now it's off to the woods to join me on a mushroom hunt.
So small. He's hiding in there. I absolutely am in love with my kitchen now. I cannot tell you how excited I actually even feel to do the washing up in there with all the lights off but those twinkly fairy lights, and it just makes me so happy and cozy. It's just a long awaited makeover. So when I did my kitchen, then it was time to move on to the lounge. But the problem was I had a lot of things that are very bright orange. Now, a lot of people might like that colour around autumn time because of course pumpkins, but last year I completely covered my home in this really bright orange colour, and I just felt so on edge the whole time until I took them down, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I actually feel calm again now. So it was such a strange thing that happened to me. So I was thinking, I need a new colour. I need a new autumn colour that's not too bright. So I experimented with mixing a lot of different autumn tones together. Some yellows, some browns, some greens and reds, and I came up with this colour. It was almost like a chestnutty reddy brown, and I just fell in love with it really. I thought it was such a really calm colour, and because my home is very green anyway, it really just went with it. It was a nice earthy colour of autumn. Not to say that the bright colours are bad. I love those bright colours. I love seeing them in here in the woods, but an earthy colour is where I stand in my home now. So all the leaves that were on my tree last year, I painted them all this colour, and it was a little bit of a process, but it was a fun one. I love decorating that tree so much. It's a ritual now that I do every season, apart from winter, because in winter, of course, I take the leaves off. But it was really fun decorating. I put on some autumn practical magic soundtrack, and I just had fun. I'm not gonna lie though, what it was missing was some autumn fairies. In autumn, all I imagine in the woods is little fairies packing up their things, creating their toadstools, moving in, and just preparing for the winter. So I need to make an autumn fairy a bit later on. But I also did include some things in my lounge that were fitting with the colour scheme, but also some new bits and bobs too, and I love them so much. I found this really cute little pumpkin that was glass, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's the most enchanted thing I've ever seen in my life. And I found this beautiful cushion that was very goldy and metallic-y and green and full of pumpkins, and that was very sweet too. So I dotted those around the lounge, and I also made sure the lounge looked very evergreen and beautiful, just to tie in with everything. So I also put my banister fur thingy up and that really made the room look beautiful too. After I did that, there was the most anticipated thing of the season to make over, which is the altar. And the altar is going to have a lovely theme this year, and it is going to be called Enchanted Autumn.
I already had these material leaves left over from summer, so to make them look enchanted, well, they needed to be gold. So I spray painted them outside. And I felt I made some glorious autumn wrapping paper at the same time. I simply slit a hole into each leaf and then hung them up using embroidery thread on the arch above. I loved this. It was so simple and elegant, and each leaf blows in the wind, creating an impression that they're falling magically from above. Now to work on the inside. I always give my altar a good clean during these transitional months with a lemon and cinnamon essential oil spray to keep stagnant energy away. But also I love to treat myself to new candles to welcome the darker months and get out things that I'll be using more over these months, like my mini cauldron. And honestly, my loves, it takes me hours to set everything up. I can never decide on placement and where to put things, but it's such an enjoyable therapeutic process for me. I placed within my selenite bowl offerings from the forest that I have collected recently. Also, crystals that I love to use this time of year, tiger's eye and grounding stones being a huge contributor, as I often find myself getting swept away into a creative state and being in the clouds in autumn, so balance is key. I decided to draw more attention to this oak tree in the centre that I made a few years ago now, and underneath it I'll be placing autumn leaves and seeds that I find on walks to bring the energy of autumn inside. Then a few final touches of doilies and candles truly gave the space the autumn energy it needed. But again, before I could continue anymore, an autumn snack was calling me. As I sat there, I thought of such a cute idea for the mini tree. I didn't want to just have leaves underneath it. I wanted mini leaf friends on it. It was such a simple yet fiddly idea, and all I used was a snapped birch stick, the smallest leaves I could find, and a little piece of a fir cone. I glued the arms and legs inside 2 leaves and then placed the head on top. A lot fiddlier than it looks, but oh my gosh, aren't these the most little sweetie angels you've ever seen? But now it's back to the forest, and right now I was looking for items to make my next craft, which has become a little bit of a seasonal tradition now.
I am collecting some pine cones and also some beautiful autumn leaves because I am going to be making my autumn fairies when I get back. They are going to be using something I've never used on this channel before, which is some felt. But if you don't have felt, you can also use string, you can use clay, whatever you have at home. But yes, let us gather some more nature. I've got all my bits and bobs, so let us journey back home so I can give you the tour, but also so we can make our beautiful autumn fairies together. After my tea was made, I gathered my items to make the fairies. The fir cones, acorns and leaves, but I needed just a few more items such as a glue gun, thread and the felt in glorious autumn colours. I first worked on the head of the fairy, which would be made out of the felt. I used my hands to form a ball and then a felting needle to mould and condense its shape down. When it was stiff, I then needed the perfect fir cone body, which I attached with a blob of glue. The autumn leaves I had collected would become my fairy's wings, so I got 2 of similar size and glued them onto the back of the fir cone, and I could already tell that this was the making of something special. To make the most of the autumn colour, my fairy would next get hair. I chose another rustic colour for it and simply draped it and glued it on top of her head and either side of the fir cone underneath.
For the finishing touch, a hat was needed on top, so an acorn hat would be just that and was glued to do the job. And after a piece of thread was attached to hang her up, she was complete, and I couldn't have been happier with what I had created. So I made plenty more, the rest of them with acorns as faces instead of felt, and I greeted them one by one as they were brought to life. Then came the ceremonial moment when these magical beings were placed upon the tree. And I just couldn't contain myself. I was in love with these little beings. There is something about simple crafts and subtle changes in colour that can bring such happiness and warmth into life. And making each season as personal as possible just sparks even more joy. And I really, truly hope you experience this for yourself too. Thank you for watching, Enchanted Ones, and please let me know, what was your favourite below? A truly blessed autumn to you all. All my love, Alwyn.